Um, you are pitiful. You know that? You're going to knock off my clipboard. We're not going to be official anymore after the clipboard's gone. That's the only thing that we do professional here. And that just started like yesterday. We're going to lose the shop. I'm in a barn talking to myself. 4 a.m. Well, let's get to work. Hey, how's everybody doing? I know that we said we weren't going to really hit this tractor very hard because it's coming up on winter, but also winter projects and everything else coming up. I figured might as well get a head start on it. So I jumped on that website that used to only sell books, but now they sell everything, and ordered up some few basic supplies. I even came up with a list. I know. It's even on a clipboard. I feel official. I feel powerful. No, not really. I'm in a barn talking to myself. But stopped by Rule King and picked up a 6-volt battery. Plan on doing a compression test on this thing if we get it to spin over with the battery, see how well the compression is. Do a spark test. You know, the good old spark plug on the side of the head. Zip, zip. Hopefully we got some light in there. Need to clean up this carburetor. I was looking at this carburetor earlier this week. Might have had a night that I couldn't sleep very much. Came out here and I wire brushed the side of it to get the carburetor numbers off there. As I was doing that, I noticed there's some pretty new looking pieces on there. So I don't think that carburetor will be too bad. I don't have much luck with carburetors. Need to clean out the fuel tank, need to check all the fluids and all that. Are we going to get to this entire list? Probably not. But I do want to make a dent in it this weekend. I want to take a look over it, see what we can do. Compression test will tell us if all the valves are closing and opening like they should, if it has even a chance to run. Spark test is easy enough. Sit there, try not to get zapped. Cleaning up the carburetor, we'll probably use the ultrasonic cleaner. I don't really want to rip apart the carburetor because with how everything's looking on there like it's new, or at least newer, I'm hoping that it's still good settings. So what I want to do with that is throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner and then use that Chem Dip bucket that was sitting in your grandpa's garage forever and smelled really nasty. Well, that stuff still really works well. So I want to dip that in there with it all assembled and see if we can get something going through it. From there, we might rig up a temporary fuel line here just to see if we can get the thing to make some noise. If it can make some noise, that would be amazing. Catalina has opinions. She wants to make noise. But this is the thing that I want to do, is get all this stuff going. So we got a few supplies here in the good old Amazon box. And also, I wanted to thank, on the last video that I posted of pulling this thing out of the barn, somebody had noticed I left behind the battery box. Sadly, the battery's not going to be able to fit in this box, but it is the original battery box. Somebody pointed that out, so thank you very much for that. I would have missed this, to be honest. I was mainly focused on the tractor itself. So, let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to remove the sheet metal off of it. I know that we just put it back on in the last video, but obviously I need to get to everything. And we're going to see if we can actually put Catalina to work here, because she hasn't been working much. You know, you freaked out your mom, my wife, by leaving for a few days, but now you're back. Yeah. Okay. You're not a fan. You're still purring though. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we can do with this thing. See if we can get something done. See if it turns over. I think that battery install is going to be first, huh, Catalina? Yeah. All right. Let's do it. So first thing we're going to do, Catalina, I'm trying to work here, honey. She has a lot of opinions today. This is the old battery tray, and that battery box used to sit on here. Our battery from Rule King is a little bit bigger than what it was advertised as. So we're still going to put it on here. 6-volt battery. Yes, I know that you can go up to 8-volt, but again, this is proof of concept. Want to get everything working. So looking at an old tractor, we got 2 black wires here. 2 black wires typically is a good way to burn down the house. How do we know which one's which? Well, you follow this wire here on the left, you notice it goes to a bolt right here on the frame. That bolt right there on the frame is going to be your ground. So this is our ground wire. And then the positive wire over here goes up to a switch up there on the dash. But let's go ahead, throw this battery in there, see if we can at least get this thing to turn over on its own, and at least go chugga. We don't want chugga chugga, just chugga. Oh. My battery is comically huge for this. But you know what? If it works, it works. Oh. That is going to need tightened quite a bit. Let's see what I got for that. Catalina is being very demanding. Come on, work with me. Why don't you want to work with me? Are you telling me that me beating on the threads with a hammer is what finally ended you after you have been like Fort Knox on just doing anything? That feels cross-threaded. Yeah, that definitely feels cross-threaded. So something you definitely don't want to do is take a hammer and tap on the top of your lead acid battery. Secure. We're going to call that secure. Sure. Looks secure to you guys? No, not really? I agree. So, what we're about to do is we're going to hit this switch. And hopefully, this doesn't do a very rapid disassembly, unscheduled rapid disassembly. Something that I am going to do, even though I know they're already loose, is I'm going to take spark plugs and confirm that they're still loose. They are. Yep, all 4 are still loose. And then what we're looking for is a couple things. When we hit the switch, we want to hear some noise. We want to hear the starter actually click, try to engage with the flywheel and spin things over. Another thing that we want to see is down here on this perspective from this camera, we want to see that fan spin within that radiator shroud. Let's make sure that we're neutral. We are. And let's hit a switch and see what happens. It turns over. Awesome. Saw the fan moving, got a good idea of what's happening. So from there, let's go ahead and take this fancy camera that we got over here. just like so. What I'm going to do next is remove the hood, and then we're going to check for spark while the spark plugs are already here, and bring you guys back up. Now that we got one spark plug out, the spark plug's pretty fouled, but there is a gap there. What we're going to do is we're going to rest that spark plug up against that head right there on that oil filter. And I'm going to turn it over, and it doesn't turn over with the speed of light, but we want to make sure that we actually have a spark in that gap. So let me see if I can get you guys a little bit lower, a little bit closer. I'm not going to turn on the external light to my camera because we need to see if there's going to be a gap right there at the tip. So now I got to figure out what exactly turns on the spark. That was the original position this switch was in, so I'm assuming that that does something. No. So we're going to put that button right back where we got it. We're going to turn this other switch that I found and try that one. Nope. Okay. Put that switch back. And now we're actually going to look up what actually does this. Because, you know, we're not very good at following instructions first, are we? Typically, no. But that's okay. Isn't the first time that I've done something stupid. Won't be the last. I'm chasing the wire because I don't want to look it up still. That wire goes all the way up to this switch. Maybe the switch was left in the run position? Let's try it there. Nothing. Let's try it in that position. Nothing. Okay. So we got a few things that we already know. A, it turns over. B, there's enough compression that it's actually blowing the camera back and forth. So that's a good thing, at least. Now we got to figure out what position the switch has to be in to turn on the magneto for the distributor. And then run a compression test anyways. Are you guys trying to tell me that these wires, you guys trying to tell me that these wires here don't look healthy? I mean, look at them. They look like, well, they don't look good, do they? That's fair. Okay. Let's take these out. See what we can do here. I am going to go ahead and label these. I'm going to call it 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry that if it's reverse than that. I'm going to get some masking tape. I'm going to put some labels on these. That way I put them in the same holes that they came out of. That way I have a better shot if it ever does spark. So, if you don't know what a compression tester is, basically we're checking for how much compression of PSI we're building inside this cylinder. The way we're going to do that is by removing that spark plug and putting the compression tester where the spark plug goes, and we're going to hit the starter and turn this thing over until this needle starts to slow down and give us a compression test, or compression reading, I guess I should say, as far as how much pressure is building within the cylinder. You're going to need to turn it over a couple times because this is going to hold on to the pressure, and it might not have enough volumetric or cubic inch area within that cylinder to give you it all at once. So it's got to rotate a couple times. So let's see what this does. Okay, so right now what we're reading on here is, what is that? About 60 psi. So, is that good? Is that bad? I don't know, to be honest. What I'm checking here, to be directly honest with you, is if they're all similar. Now, the rings in here are going to be seized up. They're not going to seal as well as they could. There could be carbon on the valves. There's multiple reasons why the leak check might not get the same PSI reading. But what we're trying to make sure of is that they're all at least similar. That way we can see what's happening. So here we go again. So that one, not that similar. I'm lucky if I'm going to call that 50 psi. Okay. Now, the rings and everything can come around once it builds up heat inside the engine and actually starts to make the metal expand around the piston rings and make better compression or knock off the junk on the valves. But at least the valves were closing enough to get a compression test. So let's see what this one reads. So this one's about 55 psi. Okay. At least 3 of the ones have moved it so far. Let's throw it here in the 4th hole. Make sure that we don't have any pressure on it. And let's see what this one reads. Well, that's our most concerning one. That's about 40 psi. So we got 65, 50-ish. We had 60, and 40. The 3 ingredients that you need for an engine to run is air that needs to be compressed, fuel, and spark. We somewhat have air. Very much somewhat. Huh. Just for kicks. Yep, still disappointing. Okay. That's cool. All right. My other camera over here. I want to show you this. So, as you can see, we have our oil gauge, our water gauge over here. But watch this oil gauge as I spin this thing up. We have oil pressure. We have oil pressure. Awesome. Okay. A lot has happened in the last 10 minutes. Let's call it. And let's just do a general recap here. Our battery install. Done-ish. Our compression test. We had 65, then it went down to 50, then it went up to 60, and then sadly it was at 40. So those were our cylinders. So let's call our compression test good for right now. Spark test. We did not pass this. Now, I don't know if that's a combination of certain switches or what. So I got to do a little bit of research on that, but no real reason to clean the carb or anything until we get fuel going into that cylinder that's going to be sparked and actually combust. So that's going to be my next thing that I focus on. But one of the things that I'm going to do to research this that I wanted to show you guys is the family friend that gave me this tractor brought down a gem. This is the original owner's manual from when his father bought the tractor. And I put it in the Ziploc bag. But this is our original Farmall manual. I mean, you can see the rust holes from the old staples inside of here. This is awesome. I really wish they still made diagrams and everything like they used to. So what I'm going to do on this, do a little bit of research, see what I got to do to get that spark going. Hopefully it's just me being dumb with the switches, but we'll see. We'll see. Apparently. Anywho, not gonna lie, I figured out a few things while doing some research. It's a little late / early in the morning. I might only get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And I figured I'm bored, and apparently Catalina's bored because she will not leave me alone. So I came out here to the barn, try to figure this out. And I guess Catalina is very happy about it. So first off, I want to set something clear. I did number these wrong. This is number 1, 2, 3, 4. I did number them backwards. I'm not going to change the numbering system that I have on here already because it's already there. No reason to waste the tape, as long as things go back to the way that they were. After I cut off the video last time, I tried to do a little bit of diagnosis in here. I took off the cover off the Magneto cap. It has the original coil in it, the tar wrapped coil. I tried to get it to spark off the coil onto the block. I didn't have any success there. So I'm not getting any electricity through here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove the rest of these spark plug wires, take note of where my rotor cap is inside of here, which position it's pointing at on here. And then this Magneto is like a coil and points tied into one. There's a set of points down inside of here. But to get to it, I have to take off the distributor cap, the rotor inside of there, and then there's going to be some screws inside of here. What I'm hoping to do is go ahead and file those points inside there and see if I can get this thing to trigger a spark. Before anybody does ask though, yes, I know that this grounds out the Magneto and kills the engine. Before I did all this, I went ahead and just completely removed that wire. Didn't have any spark plugs inside of it, so there was no reason to think that the engine would sit here and run anyways. So I wanted to see if it would just generate spark without a kill wire on it. So it's not my switch up there. I've eliminated that. It's something within the Magneto itself. So I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse, and I'm going to go through these things, and hopefully I can get something done with Catalina not bothering me as much as she is. You are pitiful. You know that? You're going to knock off my clipboard. We're not going to be official anymore after the clipboard's gone. That's the only thing that we do professional here. And that just started like yesterday. We're going to lose the shop. I'm in a barn talking to myself. 4 a.m. Well, let's get to work.
Out in the barn at sunrise, clipboard leaning on a tire, cold wind rolling through the rafters, but I'm trying to get this old H to fire. Picked up a 6-volt from Rural King. Carb looks newer than it should. Compression numbers all uneven, but I'm hoping.
Apparently I don't have a short stubby slotted screwdriver out here in the barn. So you saw me use vice grips, a straight slot screwdriver bit, and then eventually a 1/4-inch socket to drive that bit. And at first I thought that's going to be the highlight of what I just discovered. You hear those horror stories about people dropping their phones in their toilets? I think this is the 1947 version of that. That's not good. And that's less than ideal. Some might even call this chunky. So, I guess what I'm going to do, when I had this top cover off earlier, it did look okay. Guess what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and wait for the store to open, run into town, grab some carb clean, and spray the living crap out of this, sand it down. To be honest, you could say it needs new points. I'm going to bring you guys in here. It's bad. It's bad. Oh, I just remembered something. Looking beyond you guys. Oh, no, it's different. I was going to say, I hoped that this would help us, but it does not in this current situation. Unless there's points hiding up underneath this cap. There's a rotor cap. There is a set of points, but it's your typical, what you would find like in a small block Chevy condenser points. So, can't steal from this thing, which is a bummer. And again, you might be asking, well, why even deal with that right there and just go ahead and go to a system like this? I want to try to keep this original. I've heard so many great things about how this tractor used to run and do everything. I'm trying to keep it as original as possible. Am I going to not be happy about that in the end? Most likely. But you know what? It's a way to save money, and we know that it's original parts that came with the tractor and the history of the tractor. And that's what we're trying to preserve here. We're trying to give the tractor a new life. So, yeah. Also, going to address something. Notice that Face is all dried up and scabbed up with a rash. That last video. Good thing to check before you chop down the tree. Make sure there's no poison ivy on the tree. Yeah. I shot that video on a Saturday. By Monday, I could hardly see because my face was all swelled up. It was not good. It's not good. Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to remove some of these barnacles, bring you guys in a little bit here. Let you go ahead and see this lovely disaster. These should be dry. There should be no water stored in here. This should be a dry area. No barnacles or rust, crustaceans, things of those natures. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm going to get some carb clean these up, and see what I can do to hopefully get something going here. Oh, I am straight up going to need new points. Reason for that is this strap right here is supposed to be connected down here. That springy noise, see if I can get my mic close to it. I'm not musical, but I would call that a C, maybe a C sharp. But that definitely would explain it, huh? Yeah, that definitely would explain it. So basically, looking at this thing, you have your condenser right here. This is what actually is grounded out to stop the magneto. Coil's packed up in here. Coil has a wire that comes down to the other side of this wall, and then that wire is also joined down here to the bottom of the points. And then as the engine rotates, it sits here and moves this little lever up and down and breaks that contact. And when it does that, it sends that energy through this wire into the distributor cap and then gets dispersed everywhere else within the spark plugs. Well, there's no contact at all here to charge anything up. So now that I know that, I at least feel better. But I do need to do some research, see where I can find some points. I have a feeling that it's going to have to be something that I order, because tractor's from 1947. So let me do some research, figure out what I'm going to do as I sit here and play my C sharp and figure this out. By the way, Catalina decided that our date was over. She didn't need me anymore. She left. Yeah. This moment. Like I said, I'm going to get back to work.
Spark will do it good. It's an old Farmall weekend, turning wrenches in the cold, chasing wires, hunting spark on a tractor older than my soul. But I'll keep trying, keep on grinding, 'cause that's
So, why all of a sudden did we jump to a time lapse of traveling down the road? Well, after looking at that magneto, seeing that the bottom half was so rusted inside that the contacts were literally rusted through the band and everything, and we could play that C sharp on that note, it got me worried of what else inside there's rotted. So I did some research, trying to find parts for it. Looking around at O'Reilly, everything else, trying to look up cross-reference parts. I even called O'Reilly the next morning, and I'm in the Indy area, and the closest thing that they had was in Detroit. So it was going to be a couple days from there. So I jumped on the good old face space marketplace, good stuff, and I actually found an individual within Indiana that had a Magneto. The ad claims that it was running on that Magneto when he removed it. Have no idea how long ago that was. But I figured in between that Magneto and our Magneto, we take these parts and combine them. Maybe by the end of this video, we'll have some spark. Yeah. Almost sounds like a romance flick. But, I'm gonna go ahead, do this little deal, get this Magneto, get us back home, see if we can piece them together, get some spark going, and see if we can make some progress on this project. Oh, you know, bad part about doing Facebook Marketplace deals, having these meetup spots, so I've been on a diet. Hardee's sounds really good. Doesn't fit within the diet, but sounds really good. Huh.
How these projects go. It's an old Farmall weekend, and we ain't giving up hope. Catalina sitting on the hood, acting like she runs the place.
As you guys saw from that time lapse, took a little bit of a drive, went ahead, got on Facebook Marketplace, and got another Magneto. It's an original IH Magneto, just like this one is. Maybe a little bit newer. The badge looks a little bit different, but same H4 style Magneto. The impedance spring in this feels good. Everything's looking good inside of this thing. Pop off this cap real quick, take a quick look. Everything's actually lined up just about perfect of where this one originally was. And it's looking a lot cleaner on the inside. So the gentleman said that it was running when he took it off. He just happened to be cleaning up his shop, noticed that he had it on the shelf, decided that needed to clear up some of its space, which I will gladly take. So what we're going to do, we're going to take out 2 of these bolts and remove the old Magneto off of here, since it looks like it went through the Titanic and was so rusty on the inside that our points on here literally rusted off, because that's something you get to say every day. The wire inside of here and everything looks like it could possibly be okay. I'm going to keep this one on the shelf to rebuild for later if I ever need another one, or I might end up like that other gentleman and decide that eventually one day I'll sell it. But I'm going to throw you guys on a time lapse. Go ahead, get this reassembled, get our cap. I'm going to use his cap, but use our old cloth wires and the spark plugs. And when we come back from the time lapse, we're going to see if this thing has spark. And then go from there, see how our day's going. I somewhat have a plan. I'm getting more and more plans. This is getting more and more scary. Adulting's not for all of us. I just want to point that out. So, all right, time lapse.
On the Magneto full of rust, like it sank without a trace. Face still burning from that ivy. Try not to touch my skin. Found a new mag on Marketplace. Maybe that's what gets her spinning again. It's an old Farmall weekend, turning wrenches in the cold, chasing wires, hunting spark on a tractor older than my soul. But I'll keep trying, keep on grinding, 'cause that's just how these projects go. It's an old Farmall weekend, and we ain't giving up hope. 4 flat cylinders, fans still turning, oil pressure coming up, and hope keeps burning. It's an old Farmall weekend, turning wrenches in the cold, chasing wires, hunting spark on a tractor older than my soul. But I'll keep trying, keep on grinding, 'cause that's just how these projects go.
Okay, so we got this new to us Magneto on here. I haven't hooked up the grounding strap to it or anything. And I have an old spark plug up in here that we're going to see if we get spark out of this thing. I'm going to be looking right there in that gap, see if we get anything out of it. So to do that, I need to go back around, hook up the positive side of our battery. And then come back around so I can watch it with you guys. We're going to see if we got spark. And here we go. I didn't see any yet, but I'm also not going to lie to you. I was not very confident in these wires at all. Let's try that again. Well, trying to get you guys and me to see this at the same time seems to be tricky. Oh, it also doesn't help. I don't have a boot cover on this. I'm probably just grounding it out. Well, we could always do it by holding that with a set of pliers close to the block and seeing if it skips over to the block. Let's give that a shot. This is what I mean by that cloth. It's literally cloth over the wire woven. So, lay that on there without this strap hitting the frame. See if we can get this wire to agree with us to do something like that. Hopefully we get a good enough ground through that. Let's see if we got spark that way. No, we do not. Well, you can always sit here, like I said, with a set of pliers, good rubber grips on them. See if we can get this thing to spark from the frame over to that. Nothing. Well, let's try the wire coming off of the Magneto then. You gotta remember that this is number 1. Boop. There we go. Oh, hey, you guys are twisting. Sorry about that. So next, I'm going to pop this wire coming off the top of the magneto over here. We're going to see if we get a spark jumping around from this thing. Yeah. Hopefully that'll be close enough gap. Nothing yet. Oh, I was always the kid that had to test the electric fence. So, always nervous about this. Okay, there was a little bitty spark there. I don't know if you guys were able to see that or not, but there was a little bitty spark there. So we got spark coming into this. What's happening with all this? Let's pull you guys out. Let's talk about what's happening with all this and see what our next steps are going to be. All right. So we got our new magneto on. We weren't getting spark down to the spark plugs, but I'm not too freaked out about that yet. We got spark coming off the magneto or the coil going into the distributor cap in here. And then the distributor cap has the rotor underneath it and it rotates and distributes the spark to the spark plugs. So we at least have spark, which is more than we had before. The reason why we didn't have it before was it was that rusted through. There's supposed to be a C shape up coming from here. And this was the contacts out of the old one. And this is trash. The old one, as you can see, that's just not good. And that's even after brake cleaning it. So we'll still keep that one, eventually rebuild it for spare parts and all that, just in case. This one is working. It still needs some love though. The distributor cap needs to be changed out. These wires, the old distributor cap literally was busting apart and I didn't know it. And then these wires are so stuck in there that I'm literally stripping the wires off of here, just trying to pull that wire out of there. So that's telling me that this is a bit of a lost cause here. So we get a new distributor cap in here, get a new rotor inside there, and some new wires. And you know what? We're going all out on this budget. Get 4 spark plugs. We'll throw 4 spark plugs in there too. And then our ignition system should be set up. The last thing that we got to do to officially install this is install this last wire. So I believe I explained this already, but I'm going to just in case I didn't. This wire grounds out the condenser inside this magneto. That's how you turn off the ignition within the engine and shut it off. So there's a switch up there that's sometimes faulty and doesn't ground out or won't break the ground in between this and the magneto. So leaving this wire off should always provide spark coming off this coil. But I think we one second, let me consult our clipboard. We did the battery install, we did the compression test, we've been working on the spark test. We finally at least have spark. We just got a few little steps to go from there. Up next, we got to work on the fuel system. We got to clean out the carburetor, we got to clean out the fuel tank. We got to get that other ingredient to this engine running. Again, fuel, air, fire, or fuel, air, spark. And then sprinkle that in with some valve timing. And then we need to go over all the fluids and everything. Since we're going to be waiting on parts, I'm going to go ahead and end off this video. I almost said movie. You guys aren't watching movies. We can go ahead and end off this video here. I'm curious. This is my first Farmall. How many guys are watching this that have their own Farmalls? Can you comment down below? Let me know. I'm also partial to giving my projects nicknames. Like the Ferguson, I've been calling Fergie because of the singer, and it goes with Ferguson. I don't know what to call this thing. Comment down below if you got a suggestion of the name to use. Also, if you're enjoying the video, give it a like. If you like what we're doing, I'm going to continue going on with this series, getting this thing back up and running. Again, it's going to be slower paced, but hopefully at least once a month, get an update video on this, and at least we can make some progress with it. But go ahead and subscribe so you can continue on with the story, and go and watch the other videos of other little projects I'm doing. Like there's one that I admit that I'm addicted to auctions. Yeah. But all right, I'm gonna go do some more research. It feels like half these videos is me sitting in front of this camera telling you what I researched and then realizing I didn't research it well enough and then going back and researching it again. Oh, that's life. See you guys next week.
It's